Hey guys, it's Di from Being Mommy with Style, and I have tried to film this a couple times and I am gonna make it through this time. So I'm gonna try to not make this really super long, but I wanted to do a real life chat video today. And if you're not been at my channel before, my videos are normally a lot more upbeat and happy, and I like to be fun and entertaining and like to really bring that through on my channel and show fun and entertaining. But I also wanted to update because I've been talking a lot about it on Instagram stories and alluded to it in a couple videos. I wanted to do kind of like a mid-year check-in of where I'm at and basically how I feel about, you know, our situation, which I'll go into more depth about what I mean by that. But I kind of alluded to it in one of the day in life videos and didn't really want to get into it in that video because one, I didn't want it to take over the whole video, and then two, you know, I just wanted to sit down where there's no one around and just do a chat update. But we have had like kind of our mid-year kind of assessment as far as the school stuff goes, and obviously that's been a big issue since we have gotten down here. So I wanted to check in and kind of fill you in on kind of where I'm at, like what my thought process, and just kind of honestly at this point I am open for opinions because I never expected we would be in this situation. So first of all, if you are new to my channel, you don't really know quite how we got here. We moved here from Michigan over the summer and we really needed a change at that point, and that is absolutely, you know, the way that we got here. My husband was not really happy with his job anymore up there. They were sending him all over the place sporadically. He wasn't home a lot. He was stressed out. He was worn out. He needed a change, and we didn't really feel like I was going to be able to have a career with him on the go and never really home all the time either. I mean, it would have been basically impossible. And I was starting to think about, you know, eventually I want to have a career, and how am I going to do this when he's gone all the time? I wouldn't be able to have like, you know, regular career essentially. So that was definitely one of the thought processes. We obviously, if you've been following my channel, you kind of know the backstory, had a huge, and I'm going to use the word traumatic, event happen to us in 2016 where we had something just happen out of the blue. A car came off the road, hit our house, and it set off a chain of events. Some of it that I've talked about on the channel, some of it I haven't, but it was a really, really rough year. And there was a whole butterfly effect there. If that wouldn't have happened to us, our lives would have gone a completely different direction. But it did happen, and then we spent the next year waiting for our house to be rebuilt and, you know, dealing with all of that and, you know, the stress of that. But at the core of all that, what I haven't really talked about on my channel is the anxiety of having an event happen like that out of the blue and being in that house, which I really loved. I love that house. I want to live in that house. I mean, I still consider that our house and someone else is living in it. But when you're at the house and something like that has happened, you know, it's like you look out the kitchen window and you're constantly wondering, like, could that happen again? Or I'd be really nervous letting the kids play in the backyard because your mind is constantly going over the scenarios of, well, what if it would have been different? I mean, we were literally playing outside with our neighbor's kids in the exact area that that car drove through like a few hours before that. So your mind just has, I guess, no other option but to like play through those scenarios and think about, like, you know, this was not great, but it could have been a lot worse. And so you're just constantly thinking about that all the time. So we hit this point where it didn't really seem like that was going to go away. And although I really loved the house, I was just very anxious about certain elements, especially to do with the backyard, letting the kids play out there and things like that. And so we felt like if we made a change, it would also alleviate that, which it has. I mean, obviously I'm not worried about a car coming through our backyard here. We have a pool back there. So that part definitely was alleviated, but I do really miss that house. I mean, that was home. And so it's a huge bummer because if that event wouldn't have happened, our lives definitely would have gone a different direction. Anyhow. So we moved down here. My husband likes his job. The girls and I get down here are great. We get settled in. We're adjusting. It's beautiful. It's warmer. That was obviously a small part of moving here too. The temperatures are warmer than they are in Michigan, although they do still have winter. It's winter right now. And, you know, things were fine. We got museum memberships and it was fun to look around, and it's beautiful terrain. Lots of nice people down here. A little bit of crazy drivers, but lots of nice people. And then school started. And everything just went, I never could have anticipated this part, and there's a couple reasons for that, and I'll kind of talk about it. But school has gone really badly. It's been the huge negative that is starting to bring down everything else. So we are trying to work through solutions to that. We don't have the answer yet, but I just wanted to kind of check in and talk about where I am, how I feel about it, and what I think the solutions are, and honestly open myself up to, if you've been in a similar situation, what was the outcome and what worked for you. So I've talked about it here and there. There are people that go to our school, that watch our channel, and they are not happy that I'm talking about the issues that the school has open and publicly. That is one thing we'll just start out by saying, I think this must be like more of a Southern thing than a Northern thing. Northerners, they have an issue, they're gonna let you know. Southerners, it seems like it's much more, people are aware of the issues with these schools. I mean, the schools have issues with overcrowding here and not enough funds and all those sorts of things due to unexpected growth that they didn't plan for. Like literally there's 2 car lines at my kids' school that crisscross each other, so they have to have a person stand there and stop one car line and wave the other car line. I mean, it's just craziness. They didn't plan for this kind of growth. And it will be growing more because Toyota and Mazda are going to be here soon and here in Huntsville. So anyways, you know, there's issues like that they'll kind of dance around, but people will talk about the issues like in small groups. If you go to events like the park or like these school events, people will talk about it in groups of 2 or 3, but no one will say anything publicly. But my thing is, and I've sent in, replied to surveys and let the, you know, county or city people know on the surveys what I thought and what was going on. If you don't tell them, how are they going to fix it? So I think that's definitely one thing that's different down here, is that, you know, everyone wants to be very positive, which, I mean, I guess I'm guilty of this in my personal life. I mean, look at my whole channel. I would prefer something be positive and put it out there than to talk about the tough stuff and the negative stuff. But also school is very important to me. That's one thing that I don't waver on. So, you know, it's an issue. It's a big issue. So anyways, I do think they're aware of some of the issues, but here's how it is from like a mom's perspective. So I've talked about this on Instagram stories and then in previous videos, but if you don't know the backstory, you know, we got here and there's 2 different scenarios going on in each of my girls' rooms. Isabella's in 2nd grade, Natalie's in kindergarten. In the 2nd grade room, it's been completely abnormal, crazy. I mean, it would be, you know, out of sorts in any school district, but the way that's been handled is not correct in my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because this similar scenario happened at the school we came from and it was handled differently. But the teacher was out, they've subs in and out, they finally got a long-term sub, but for all intents and purposes, even now that her regular teacher is back, I have no clue what Isabella's doing in her room. Like, we don't get work home, she never has homework, which is, I'm not complaining about that, but for all intents and purposes, I don't know what the kid's doing for 8 hours a day. Like, I ask her what they're working on, she says tests or normal stuff, I get to hear about who got in trouble, and that's basically the extent of what I get out of her room. They don't send out the detailed emails. Our teachers in Michigan would send out emails a couple times a week where they'd let us know what homework there was, what they were working on in each subject, you know, what events were going on, when parents were going to be in the classroom for this, that, and the other. So I was used to that level of communication. So that was definitely one, you know, like difference that hit me like a ton of bricks at the beginning of the year, is that I feel like I have no clue what's going on at all because there's no, you know, back and forth communication like we've had in the past. And then in the other classroom, I am able to get a hold of her teacher a little bit more. Still no, you know, regular emails and things like that, but there's more work being sent home. She does have homework in the kindergarten class. What I started noticing about the curriculum is it's very test-centered. So they are very into the testing down here. Testing, testing, testing. And their curriculum has started being based around those tests. They're basically teaching to the test. So my complaints in the beginning of the year were they're not doing this writer's workshop and they have no creative, you know, things coming home, and where's all the science? And they're basically dumping all that extra stuff to focus on the test and try to keep those test scores up. Because this is supposedly the best school district in Alabama, supposedly. But the reason why they're focusing on those tests is to keep those scores up so they can keep that moniker. it's not working. So here's why I say that. Because of what I've observed since the beginning of the year, and what I can tell you with my own kids, they're both going backwards. Both of them. And it's obviously less noticeable with Isabella because she came in at a much higher level. I mean, when she tested at the beginning of the year, before they started, she was like at 8th grade Alabama level, which was like a 5th grade Michigan level reading, and then high on the math and all that stuff. But she's going backwards. And then same for Natalie, she's going drastically backwards from where they came in at. So my thoughts are just all over the place, obviously, because I just wasn't expecting this. I mean, I was in the classroom a lot in Michigan. They had way more students in their classrooms up there. I mean, I thought it was a good thing that they were going to have less students in the classes down here. They have like 17 kids in the classrooms. Michigan, Isabella's classroom size in kindergarten was 25. But here's, at the end of the day, they were doing something right, because out of those 25 kids, 2 kids came in reading, Isabella being one of those kids. There was another handful of kids that came in as emergent readers. There was another handful of kids that came in reading letters but not putting words together, because I would go in and help with Reader's Workshop, so I'd be able to see all this. And then there was kids that came in that did not know their letters. So they had the full range in Michigan, 25 kids. By the end of the year, 25 out of 25 kids were reading and stood up at the Mother's Day tea and read off a piece of paper, you know, their part of the tea. And every single one of those kids did great that year, and they were doing something right. In the class that we are in here at Alabama, same thing. There's a range of kids that came in, a couple that came in reading. Natalie was not one of those. There was emergent readers, kids that came in at all different levels all the way through. There's only about 17 or 18 of them, although the number keeps fluctuating because kids keep getting pulled out to homeschool or go to private school. And there are kids that are repeating grades here multiple times. Natalie has gone backwards to the point where they're saying she's not even at the kindergarten level. She came in at kindergarten level, and she basically started dipping below that by being at kindergarten all day long. So here's my thought process, because obviously I just got a job. I really like my job, and I was kind of ready to start my career and kind of get into that kind of mode. But I told my husband, I said, you know, could I sit and do all the things that I needed to do to teach Natalie? And this is partly my fault, because part of me held back because I thought, well, she's going to have Mrs. C in Michigan, and I know what Mrs. C is capable of, and I was looking forward to that, and I banked on it, and that didn't happen. And so this is partly shame on me, because I expected she was going to be able to go off to kindergarten, get everything she needed to kindergarten, and so on. So I banked on that, and it did not happen. We ended up down here. She's got a different teacher, obviously, but that teacher also has a different curriculum. So I'm definitely not trying to put this on the teachers. It's a curriculum and district issue. And they're being taught differently, and Natalie is not taking to it. Neither kid's taking to it, to be honest with you. I don't even know what they're doing in Isabella's class. It doesn't sound like anything, but that's a whole different problem. And both kids are going backwards. So I literally told my husband, I said, here's the rub. If I'm going to have to do everything, I'm not going to go to work for 8 hours, send her to school for 8 hours, her not get anything out of it, and then me be expected to do all the teaching at night and on the weekends. That's not the way it's going to go down. If I'm going to have to do everything, I'm going to get all the glory. And I realize that's the complete wrong attitude to have. But that's really the point that I'm at. And I really never, I know that I did the preschool at home, but homeschooling for regular school has really never been on my radar. I like my job. I want to keep doing my job, but I also love my kids, so I'm very torn in the situation. So then we're down to the fact of, well, what do we do? Do we give them one more year? And then if the kids keep going backwards, we have to pull them out? Both kids have had kids pulled out of their classrooms to homeschool and go to private school. So do we give them one more year, one more shot, different classrooms, maybe they can get their stuff together? We've looked into private school. I'm not thrilled with any of them, to be honest with you. I've heard bad things about a bunch of them and mediocre things about a lot of them. Not a lot of good. And you know, it's a lot of money. I mean, let's just be straightforward. That's a lot of money to lay out, and are you getting what you're paying for? But that's got to be an option on the table, right? So first option is you just give them another shot at the public school and see if they can do better next year. Second one is private school. Third one is, I don't know, homeschool, I guess. And then fourth one, I had a fourth one earlier, but I lost it. I don't know, just shut up and stop complaining and just accept that they aren't going to do as well here. I guess that's the fourth one. But yeah, I mean, that's really where I'm at. I'm really kind of feeling a bit lost because I didn't expect to be in the situation. I'm ready to move on and, you know, be a working woman, and it sounds so bad, but I'm ready to do career. I mean, I didn't get a bunch of degrees for no reason. I like career. So it's a very touchy subject, especially in our household right now. It's very touchy. But you guys also know how important education is to me. In fact, we did a personality test for like the work that I work at, like to sort out, you know, everyone's personalities and likes and all that. The two highest things on my personality were theoretical, which means education is very, very important to me, and aesthetics. Those were the two things that were highest on mine. And I'm more on the people side than I am on the, like, you know, decision, like, number side. But that's the two things that are big about my personality: learning and aesthetics, period. So it shouldn't be a shock to anyone that, well, I mean, I think you guys know from watching my videos in the preschool at home and how much we like doing learning stuff at home. But my husband, who knows me very well and knows how much learning is important to me, you know, it shouldn't be a shock to him. Although I think it has been. So yeah, I guess I'm really putting this out there for two reasons. Well, three, if we want to be completely honest. One, if you don't put it out there, nothing's ever going to be done to fix it. It will just keep getting worse and worse and worse. I don't believe in teaching to a test. I think that's a really bad, like, direction, and I feel like this whole school system's kind of going that way. I think that they need to correct the ship, otherwise it's going to start sinking, if it's not already sinking. Two, I put it out there because, like, you know, it's like I said at the beginning of the year, like, I'm airing this because I don't want it to be like, you know, happy, happy, happy all year long, and then all of a sudden we make some switch and you guys are all like, but you were happy all year long, like, was that fake? Well, no, it's not fake. I try to keep my channel all happy, but we all have this side too, you know? This is unfortunately what's going on right now. And then three, honestly, just to bounce it off you guys. I mean, have you been in this situation? What did you do? How did it get resolved? If you were a reluctant homeschooler, what happened? I mean, has anyone ever actually, I feel like all the homeschoolers out there, they go into it like they're gung-ho, they knew that's what they were going to do, and they're super excited about it, and that's not where I'm at. And so at this point, I think I'm putting it out there just to see, like, is there another option here that I have missed? Because I can't come up with any other solutions. We have not come up with a solution to fix this, other than to just, like, cross our fingers and, like, pray that the school gets better. I mean, we're literally even looking at other houses in the district to try to get in a different track of schools, but I don't think that there's any guarantee that they're not all just teaching to a test. What's happening in Isabella's room, I feel like, is a little bit more of an anomaly. I mean, obviously if it was just that, it would be one thing. But it's everything on top of one another. They have the asinine, you know, school attendance policies down here. Like in Michigan, I would go in and tell them we'd be gone such and such dates, and then, you know, whatever. Down here, and I knew this was going to be a problem going into this because Courtney from Highland Court has had the same problems in Texas. She's talked about on her channel, where they have some ridiculous attendance policy where some days are excused, some days aren't. They have all kinds of rules and regulations. And it's just all over the place. And I mean, you know, that's not how we rolled last year. I went in, told them when they were gone, called in if they were sick, and it was really easy. That's the other thing, is the communication. It's not that they don't have, like, any communication. It's just all over the place down here. Our teachers have sent out so many different apps, Seesaw, Balloons, some little Munster one. I can't even remember what it's called, where they were giving him points for good behavior and all that. They send out all these different, like, app things, and then they start them and then they don't finish them. And I'm like, how hard is it? Just send an email. once or twice a week. It'd be so much easier. So I feel like they're almost making it complicated for themselves down here. Stop teaching to the test. Just teach regular and then let the kids take the test. Let them get whatever they're gonna get. Just teach regular kindergarten. So I don't know. I mean, my mind is blown. I never thought we would be in this situation. But that is that. That's enough complaining for me for today. If you've ever been in this situation, what did you do? How did it resolve? What would you do? Would you give them another year to get their stuff together? Maybe it's just a specific situation and we give it another shot next year. Would you have already pulled them out and homeschooled them by now? Or I know a couple of our like acquaintances that we've made down here that were in the same rooms, they pulled them. They've already pulled them. So I don't know. I'm really at a loss because I didn't expect this situation to be what it is. But the mountains are beautiful, the weather's nice, so hooray for that. I get to see a rocket every day. So that part is exciting and happy, but that's where I'm at. That's how I'm feeling about it. Really, honestly, I'm lost. Like I didn't expect for this to happen. And I mean, and you can say like, you know, oh yeah, but you should have known because Alabama's 49th out of 50 in education and it's so bad and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that this was supposed to be the best school district. And yeah, we were in one of the best school districts in Michigan, but what you see online for this school district does not match up with the experience that we've had. So why is all that online not match up with our experience? And I think that's the biggest thing that's throwing my husband because, I mean, he did a good amount of research too. And he's like, I don't understand. I don't understand why it's like this here. Like it's not matching up with what you read about people's experiences and what should be going on online. Like why is our experience so different? So anyhow, sorry for the rant. Let me know if you have any beautiful insights down below and I will see you in another video very soon. Thanks for watching.